Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. The studio lights were warm, familiar, almost comforting. They always were. For decades they had glowed over Kelly Ripa like old friends, forgiving and constant, framing her laughter, her quick wit, her uncanny ability to make millions of people feel like they were sitting right beside her kitchen counter. On this morning, though, the lights felt heavier, brighter, as if they knew something the audience didn't yet understand. Kelly adjusted her cue cards, though she didn't need them. She rarely did. Her smile came easily, muscle memory from a lifetime spent turning nerves into charm. But today, the smile faltered just for a breath, long enough for Mark, seated beside her, to notice. Long enough for the producer behind the glass to straighten in their chair. "Ready in 5, someone whispered. Kelly nodded, always professional, always ready. The music swelled, applause thundered, the show began. For the first 10 minutes, everything seemed normal. Kelly joked about her coffee being too strong, teased Mark about misplacing his glasses again, laughed with the audience like she always had. If you weren't looking closely, you would have missed it. The way her hands trembled slightly when she lifted her mug, the way her eyes searched the teleprompter a second longer than usual. Then came the pause. It wasn't planned, not written, not rehearsed. Kelly inhaled, her shoulders rising just a fraction too high. The studio quieted in that instinctive way people do when they sense something fragile unfolding. "I've always believed," she began softly, "that honesty matters, especially with people who've invited you into their homes for so long." The audience leaned in. Somewhere, a camera zoomed tighter. "For years, this show, this space, has been my heartbeat, my second home. And lately, I've had to face some truths about my future that I never imagined I'd have to say out loud." Mark reached for her hand. The silence was thunderous. Kelly smiled again, but it shimmered with tears. "There's been a major shift behind the scenes, a change I didn't see coming, one that affects not just my role, but the very idea of what comes next for me." She stopped, blinked, composed herself with the grace of someone who has done hard things in public before. "I'm not going anywhere today," she added quickly, drawing a soft, nervous laugh from the crowd. "But I'd be lying if I said this hasn't been devastating." And just like that, the internet exploded. Kelly Ripa's career had always been defined by reliability. She was the constant in a world that changed too fast. While co-hosts came and went, while television reinvented itself over and over, Kelly stayed, evolving without erasing herself. From her early days as a soap star to becoming the morning show anchor millions trusted with their coffee rituals, she'd carved out something rare, longevity without losing relevance. Which is why the rumors that surfaced that afternoon felt unthinkable. Anonymous sources whispered about a network overhaul, about fresh directions and new energy, about boardroom conversations where words like restructuring and rebranding floated dangerously close to replacement. Fans refused to believe it at first. "Kelly is the show," one viral post read. Another wrote, "You can't just swap out comfort." But the signs were there, scattered like breadcrumbs no one wanted to follow. Fewer promos, shortened segments, meetings that suddenly didn't include her voice. For the first time in Kelly Ripa's career, Kelly wasn't being asked what she thought. That night, long after the studio lights dimmed, Kelly sat at her kitchen table, the house quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator. Her children had grown. The chaos of earlier years had softened into echoes. Mark poured 2 glasses of wine and slid one toward her without a word. "They say it's not personal," Kelly said finally, staring into the glass. "They always say that." Mark sighed.
It's never personal
She laughed
until
weakly.
it is.
I've given them everything. My mornings, my energy, my life. And that doesn't disappear, he replied gently, no matter what some executive decides. But Kelly wasn't just afraid of losing a job. She was afraid of losing a version of herself. For decades, she had known who she was at 9 a.m. She had known her purpose, her rhythm, her place in the world. The thought of waking up without that anchor felt like standing at the edge of a cliff, terrifying and strangely quiet. 2 weeks later, the network released a carefully worded statement. It spoke of exciting changes and a bold new chapter. It praised Kelly's contributions, her legacy, her impact. What it didn't say screamed louder than what it did. There was no confirmation of her long-term role, no reassurance, no promise. Kelly read the statement on her phone while sitting in her car, parked outside the studio she wasn't scheduled to enter that day. Her reflection stared back at her from the darkened screen, eyes tired, smile gone. For the first time, she didn't know where she fit. The backlash was immediate and fierce. Petitions flooded social media. Hashtags trended worldwide. Fans posted videos of themselves crying, recounting mornings spent watching Kelly through breakups, illnesses, job losses, and lonely apartments. "She got me through my divorce," one woman said. "I learned English watching her," another shared. Morning television had always been dismissed as light, disposable, but now the world was being reminded of its quiet power and of the woman who had carried it for a generation. Kelly watched it all from a distance, overwhelmed and deeply moved. Gratitude and grief tangled in her chest. She wanted to speak out, to explain, to reassure everyone, but she couldn't. Not yet. The hardest moment came not on camera, but alone. Kelly stood in her closet one evening, surrounded by racks of dresses, colors and silhouettes marking eras of her life. She ran her fingers across the fabrics, memories flooding back. Nervous first days, big interviews, silly costumes, emotional confessions. "Who am I without this?" she whispered. The question echoed. She cried then, not dramatically, not loudly, just a quiet release, years of pressure slipping through tears. It wasn't just about a show. It was about identity, about aging in an industry obsessed with newness, about being told, subtly and politely, that your time might be up. And then, something shifted. One morning, Kelly woke up before her alarm. The fear was still there, but beneath it was something else, a spark, a reminder of who she'd been before anyone handed her a microphone. She started writing again, not script, not jokes, thoughts, stories, unfiltered reflections about ambition, motherhood, insecurity, reinvention. For the first time in years, she wasn't editing herself for time. She took long walks, met friends for lunch without checking the clock, said no to meetings that didn't excite her. The world hadn't ended. It had simply changed.